How do you know if it is true love or if it's attachment? And when I talk about attachment, today we are going to dive into any type of attachment. Relationship to your parents, to your partner, to friends, attachment to places, attachment to money, attachment to numbers, to things, to material things. And when do you recognize some kind of connection is actually truthful out of love, truthful out of expansion of that heart space? And that is like where we're going to dive deeper into today. When we talk about attachment, let's go back to the time where attachment is formed. The first attachment you have is with your mother. You're literally attached to your mother. You're in the womb and you need her. So when we talk about attachment, there's always this phrase, I need you in order to, and then you fill in the blank. So attachment in the base of it, like in the core of it, is actually healthy. And the unhealthy part comes or is most of the time formed in our childhood. So when we come to this earth and we have an attachment to our parents, supernatural, we need our caregivers in order to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel nurtured, and to be soothed. We are not yet in a space where we can do that to ourselves. So, understandable, if that was not giving in some kind of form in your childhood, there was already an attachment that might be unhealthy. There are two attachment styles when we talk about relationship that are most common, and they have the root in childhood. Avoidant attachment, it's basically, oh my god, this is like too much, your emotions, it's like too overwhelming, get away from me. The other is anxious attachment. It's like, please don't leave me, I can't live without you. So let's say your father, for example, was more absent emotionally. So every time you would express emotions, you would live fully in anger or whatever, sadness, whatever it is, and your father would be like, I can't handle it, I cannot stand this, because he would be so overwhelmed. He would avoid that. And rehearsing, you would become very anxious. You would be so scared, oh my god, I can't show myself, otherwise I'm getting rejected. And that is actually a dynamic that is coming to most people like in their adult life, because then they have like some kind of the same relationship they had with their father, because your nervous system is always trying to recreate that pattern, because that is what is familiar to you. So if we look at these types of attachments, we can already see it's like unhealthy. And going into other areas, like if I have like an attachment to places, to things, to people, to a job, to a certain outcome, there is already some kind of suffering. There's always some kind of resistance. And now, on the other side, what does love do? Like, what does love feel like? Love always expands. Love has no form, it gives room. Love is being that unconditional expansion where everything is allowed. That is actually like the space that we are meant to experience in childhood. It's like a safe space where everything is fully allowed, every emotion, every feeling that is arising, and there is space, there is room, and you're being guided through it. And when you have that healthy relationship, that healthy attachment, you actually learn, oh, I'm safe in this world. I can trust myself. I can trust the people around me. There is no need for me to control or to push or to ask or to beg, because I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm connected to myself. I'm connected to God. And if this was not the space you grew up in, you tend to have maybe an ancient attachment where you are literally afraid of losing people, or you have like more of an avoidant attachment where you just like push people away before they push you away. So you literally avoid deep conversations, you avoid certain connections because the depth is scaring you. That's also why I say you are not too sensitive. Maybe it's the other person that can't handle your depth. It's not always you. Maybe you feel so deeply and so lovingly that the other person just not has that capacity to hold that love. That was for me with my father. He just couldn't go meet me in the depth I needed it to. And it's not about blaming or shaming, that was just the way it was. And for put yourself into perspective, I always say that we have to go back to generational connections, to dynamics, because when you look into the area of our grandparents, so my grandparents grew up in war, there was no room for safety, emotional connection. It was just not the priority. The priority was surviving. So put yourself into perspective. And also the parents after our grandparents, there was not the capacity and the depth for really meeting your needs. That's why so many current parents are literally breaking a cycle, because they allow emotions. They want to learn, how do I nurture my child? How do I nurture myself? How do I stay calm? How do I really help my child develop and learn through emotion, and not punishing them with silent treatment, with avoidant, because that is all trauma response. Like, that is so unhealthy. If anyone ever is giving you the silent treatment, is gaslighting you, is pushing you away, that is not a healthy connection. That is not a healthy attachment. Because love always expands and gives room and heals. Love is that energy and is that true connection that says, you know what? I love you so much. And if that is your path, if that is where you want to go, I still love you. And it's also, love is that energy that allows that the dynamic, it's allowed to change. It's allowed to come into a new form, into a new some kind of energy. And that is where you can feel where an attachment is healthy. Maybe you have that one friend from school and you know that person since childhood, and maybe you're not like all the time in contact, but when you meet each other or when you're in contact, there is just this flow, this love and this lightness, because there's absolutely no attachment. Like, you love that person so much and you want to see her in, her highest form, and you want to see her happy. So that is how you know, because it's not, the focus is not on you, it's on her happiness. And because you see that she is living the life she's dreamed of, it makes you happy. Even there's a part that's like a little bit sad and might grieve, but that is healthy attachment. So ask yourself, what are you actually attracting? Like, what kind of dynamics are you attracting into your life? For me, I had to look into my connections from childhood. I had to look into the connections with my parents. If there's any form of connection based on guilt, because guilt looks like this, those are your parents. You have to do X, Y. it is always coming from an energy of attachment, because unconditional true love is not demanding. Unconditional love is not putting you on a spot where you have to do something because it's obligated, it's expected. This is literally made up by humankind. Unconditional love, because what is love? What is love? When I ask, what is love? Love is everything. Love is God. And ask yourself, when you're in a situation where you feel like, I don't know what to do, I don't know why I need this person, why am I so attached, why do I can't let go of the space, why I can't let go of the people, ask yourself, what would love do? What would love do? And most of the time, you already know it's time to let go. You already know this path, you can no longer go it because it's not your highest truth. You already know you should let go of that friendship. You should let go of that family member or keep some distance. It's because it's unhealthy. You already know it. Your truth, your soul is always talking to you. And acknowledge that feeling, acknowledge that truth. Stop abandoning yourself, stop putting yourself back. You have done that your whole lifetime, maybe in childhood, to receive love, to be noticed, to be seen, to be accepted. That was never true love. That was conditioning. That was a trauma response your parents got from their parents and from their parents. They didn't know it at that time. That's why it was there. Otherwise, they would have changed it. And now that is all coming to you. That's why we say those are the cycle breakers. They're breaking a wheel of dysfunctional and survival pattern that were not meant to be there in the first place. And that's why any form of like this, I can't let go. If I do that, I'm letting them down. That is all guilt. That is out of fear. If there's any type of control, of anger, of sadness, ask yourself, what do I need from that person, that money, that place, what I can't find within myself? Ask yourself, what is the payoff for me that I'm staying? Is this out of love or is it out of fear? And it's going to be very clear to you. It's either way. And sometimes there is this period, this transition where you know this is the right path, I have to go it. And you're literally like afraid of what would happen if I let go of it. But that is trust. That is surrendering. That is giving all your heart into something bigger than you. When I want to give a personal example with my grandma. So she's coming out of the time where there was war. And when my grandparents died, my grandma, we had to clean up the whole house. And so I lived with my grandparents in one house, my mom, my grandparents and me. And it was a big house, I used to live on the farm. When she died, we cleaned up the whole house, and you can't imagine how much stuff there was. Material stuff, like so much. There were like cucumbers, like what you have like from back in the days, from 1960 or something. And I don't know where she had all that stuff from. And she was collecting that things. For me, like when I look at this, like she was trying to fill a hole of something that she never received as a child, like safety and love and wholeness. And so there is like this pattern in humans that, when you don't have some kind of safety within you, you start to attach yourself to material things, to outcomes, to places, because you gain some kind of validation from it. And again, like coming from a place of empathy, I absolutely understand my grandma. I mean, imagine a time you grow up during war. What? That must be, that must be terrible. And then also from the perspective, like there was not this kind of help we have now. Like it's super normal to do therapy. It's normal to do any type of healing modality. That was not the norm back then. It was there in some places, yes, but it was not mainstream like it's becoming now. There was not this awareness. So this example with attaching to material things is a huge indicator for you to look into what is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? Because love is literally letting go. Love has absolutely no problem with letting go, because again, love is wholeness. Love is everything. Love is the space where you are so okay with yourself. If that other person is in your life or not, you are just enjoying and living your life. You're whole. You are in love. That's why when you have that healthy attachment with your parents, you move through life so differently, because there is no attachment to I have to do certain things. I'm standing in some kind of a shadow of my parents and I have to fulfill their needs. No, it's out of pure love, and love is giving. Love is not expecting anything back. And that is what I want you to look into, your own types of attachments, your own personal view and feeling, what you have with the people and places and things you are attached to in your life. What are you still holding onto? You can't let go, because what would happen? Who would you be without all these things? That's also where the ego death is coming in. The ego death is simply the removement and the detachment from your attachment you have to anything and everyone around you. And when I went through that, that's the dark night of the soul. Your ego is literally dying and letting go of all the attachment you created. And I'm talking about your identity, the way you think things should be, the amount of money you should have on your bank account, where you should live, how people should treat you, what kind of friendship, how your parents should be, how your home should look. This is like, everything is like diminishing. And the question that is arising, who are you without all these things? I was at that point, who am I without the identity of personal training? Who am I without that I'm working or that I have a job? Who am I if I don't have any money? Who am I if I don't have any connection to my parents, to friends? Who am I actually? That is a raw and truthful question that needs time and courage. Because behind that, detaching from everything, is actually just love. There is just this wholeness and peace within you. And it's also kind of letting go of the illusion. Like, we create all these types of connections and attachment to things, which at a point are like, we have to let go of them at one point in our life, right? We are leaving this earth at somehow. So go into your own personal attachment to things, people, and places, and ask yourself, what would love do? Really, what would love do? Would love hold on to that person? Would love really be so anxious? Would love tell you to minimize yourself? Would love tell you to adapt to the people in your circle? Or would love say, expand, be yourself, open up, take up room, take up space. So you can always feel it energetically if that person is in a love space, if that person is truly in love within themselves, that's why they can give it to others, or not. And it always starts with you. So, beautiful soul, if you're new here, welcome. I see you. And I'm curious, what is your relationship with attachment? Are you noticing some kind of attachment that are unhealthy? Where are you at in your journey? Thank you so much for being with me here. Stay with me because we are just getting started. Wish you a beautiful day and leave me a comment. I'm curious, how is your journey going? And I talk to you soon in the next video.